And talking about government right here in Nigeria, let's look at the cost of governance. There's been a lot of rumbling about the president's move, sacking 5 ministers, but swearing in just a couple of days ago 7 ministers, amidst what a lot of people have already called high cost of governance. Let's see, perhaps there are ways that this could have been handled or could be handled differently. And we're doing this with a chartered accountant. Very good with the numbers, right there. Joins us virtually from Canada, Sheon Togungbo. He's an accountant and joins us for this conversation. Hi, Sheon. Good afternoon. Hello, Sheon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Great. So tell us your thoughts about this. Of course, the country needs to be governed. And they need to be governed by people who will be paid and all of that. But this talk of cost of governance, are we on the right track, would you say?
Well, thank you for having me. For me to say whether we're on the right track or not, I just want to give you some context. Successive administration in several decades even currently, have always given us different policies or style to say they want to reduce the cost of governance. There was a time that there was austerity measures, during the Shagari regime, Orosanye panel during the Goodluck Jonathan regime. Then during Buhari's regime, there was a time that some department and parastatals were to be merged, but that was dropped, Currently, in the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there was a policy that the number of aides that follow minister, that follow president should be reduced. So we always have action, right? But we don't see result. That has always been the issue, So we take 2 steps forward, then 10 steps backward, because the real masses are not really seeing the effect of, all these policies in their own bottom line. So for me, I would say we are not really on the right track, because the policies are there, but the implementation or seeing in the life of people is what we are not really seeing.
The current reality. But you also have on your slide, you're talking about the myths. Like a lot of people think Nigeria is rich. And I mean, people will argue with you that we are rich, but you think Nigeria is not rich? Shouldn't we look at Nigeria as a rich country?
Yeah, it's a myth that I don't know where we got that mentality from, that Nigeria is rich. To say somebody is rich, let me give you an analogy. Somebody that is earning, say, 200,000 naira in a month and has like 10 kids, right? Compared to somebody that is earning 10 million naira in a month and has 2 kids. Nigeria has a very huge population of 200 million people. Our revenue is very, very low. And it doesn't start from now. It has been for years past, So that is why I said Nigeria is not a really rich country, because if you look at the per capita revenue of Nigeria using the federal government budget of like 27 trillion naira divided by 200 million people, you will see that what we actually come, let's say they want to divide that money to each individual in Nigeria, is like 90,000 naira each. So you see that Nigeria is not really rich. If you also compare our budget to other countries that we are benchmarking ourselves with, go and look at the size of their revenue, the size of their budget. We see most of the time, it's even times 10 or more than 20 times the size of Nigerian budget. So that's why I said that it is a myth for us to always be saying that Nigeria is rich. Our oil production is less than 1.4 million barrels in a day. Whereas in some other climes that are oil producing, some of them are doing 3 million barrels in a day, that are even having lower population, just like 10% of Nigerian population. You get it? So that's why I said that this concept of saying that Nigeria is rich is a fallacy. Look at our tax collection also, other source of revenue that we have in Nigeria. Collection level in Nigeria is less than maybe probably 5% of people that are paying taxes, among 200 million people. And those who are even paying these taxes are those who are in paid employment that an employer can deduct as source, or those who are engaged in one form of productive engagement that are doing sales and buying that are paying VAT. So that is what gave me the notion that Nigeria is not a really, really rich country, considering our population and the revenue basket that we have.
But maybe, Sean, the reason why people have that notion, and it seems to have been there like forever is because we do have the potential to be rich. I mean, once upon a time, our oil production used to hit 2 million barrels a day, so we still have the potentials to do that. But for the leakages, once upon a time, our agriculture used to feed the nation, and our naira used to be strong, almost equal to, the strongest currencies in the world. So perhaps that's where the notion is. I guess we should look at how we can go back to those days or even do better than we were in those days.
When Nigeria, maybe the time we are having 2 million barrels, what was our population then, right? Nigerian population has ballooned over the years, right? In the time when we are having like 2 million barrels per day, not even in the last 8 years, we have not done 2 million barrels per day. So the time we are doing real 2 million barrels per day in the 70s and the early 80s, what was our population? What was our infrastructural need? And most of the infrastructure that were even built during the one era, they have dilapidated. They needed to be, improved upon. New ones needed to be built. If nobody, let's use Lagos as an example. There are just 4 bridges that connect the mainland to the Lagos Island in a 20 million population city. Then look at other states also. Apart from the city capital, the state capital, go to the other areas, there is no development. And if we want to say that Nigeria is rich, these are the parameters we want to say that, okay, this country is actually rich because there will be resources to take care of these things. However, I align with some of your comment that there is wastage that is making us to feel that, okay, some of these things are not trickling down, right? But looking at our population, looking at our revenue capacity, Nigeria is not really a rich country. Let us be realistic.
All right, let's tell ourselves the truth. And then you also have some facts, the number of elected officials per capita. Could you delve into those numbers?
Say that again.
The facts that you shared, about elected officials, per capita revenue, per capita expenses, and all of that. I wanted you to elaborate on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Amy. Why I show these things is that, when we see the few that are showing flamboyancy, extravagance, it makes us want to have the notion that, okay, we are rich. Whereas the total number of elected officials in Nigeria at federal level, state level, and even local government level, they are not up to 15,000 of 200 million population. And when you now see each of these people having 10 cars, having 20 entourage on their convoy, you want to have the perception that, oh, this is a very rich country. But don't go and look at the staff that are working with them. Go and look at their environment. You see that they are even living within the poor community. That's why you see them having several security details following around them, because for every 200 million Nigerians, we have 15,000 that are showing flamboyancy. Now we see have like 199 million people that are very poor or that are even struggling to make ends meet or to even cater for their needs. You get what I mean? That is why I put this slide there, that it is the perception that those who are in public office shows, right, that will make us to think, okay, this is a very rich country. That's why I'm showing this thing. And these people that you are seeing that are, showing this extravagance, they are less than 1% of the population. The remaining 99% of the population are struggling to make the ends meet. And this per capita that I show here shows that, looking at 2024 budget of federal government, the per capita revenue of Nigeria over the 200 million people is like 90,000. If you are going to share this 27 trillion expenditure of federal government to each individual in the country, you are going to get 90,000. Can 90,000 sustain anybody in a year? No, it cannot even sustain a family in a week, looking at the current economic realities in Nigeria.
And yet we have a minimum wage that is less than that, Sheon. But talking about those areas of wastages, you have the constituency project allocation, duplication of services, overlapping of functions. And I dare add, that's not right there. But I mean, when you talk of duplication of functions, we would look at not just the federal, but even the state. We have some offices that even the media does not know is in existence, talking about areas of wastages.
Yeah, thank you. Let me start from somewhere. Look at the 36 states in Nigeria. Almost all the states also have a lodge in Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. What does a state need a state lodge for in Abuja? You can use an hotel. That's a wastage because you have a state house in your state capital and your area of function is actually in your state. It is not in Abuja. But you see them, it's as if some of these governors live in Abuja. They spend 90% of the time in the federal capital territory. Doing what? That is a wastage. And when they are in those territories that are outside their jurisdiction also, the cost of maintaining them, you see the envoys, the convoys that follow them, the aid that follow them, is a waste. There are some of them that are even permanently located in those jurisdictions that are outside their state capital. That is one waste. You see a state that even the primary schools are not functioning, having 4 universities, and look at the population of this state may not be more than 3 million, right? Instead of us to fund one of the university and make it to be functional, right, and use the other fund to provide for the primary school. You go to various primary schools in Nigeria, some of them don't even have roof, don't have furniture in their classes. The teachers are not well paid. These are areas that we should channel all those duplication of resources into to make life meaningful to the average Nigerian. Or you see a state that maybe total agricultural production in that place is not even up to $1 million in a year, building an airport for agricultural cargo lifting. We are leaving the substance, and pursuing what is not really the priority as now. First of all, grow your agricultural produce, connect your agricultural production to rail that will link them to the port, where you'll be building airports that are not functional. Instead of us to collaborate among states, you see states like, I don't want to mention some states, each of the states that are less than 100 kilometer distance from each other, everybody is having airports, airport that maybe just once in a week that one aircraft fly into those areas. Those are some of the areas of duplication that we should start looking at. There should be a lot of regional integration. Let's say in the southwest, aside Lagos, if you think that, okay, you need movement between Ibadan, Oshogbo, Akure, why don't all of them use Ibadan airport, and make it function instead of each state trying to build airport and wasting funds that is not even enough, to take care of the citizens of those states.
All right, Joe. I mean, some strategies there, but I know that a lot of state governors would not agree with you because it's every state government has pride. I have my own airport, we have our universities and all of that, but you are looking at functionality. But thank you so much for sharing these tips with us, the strategies to cut costs. That's the much we can take. Sheon Togumbo is a chartered accountant and joined us this afternoon. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Uni, for having me.